presenting about stress and its effect on learning and memory in students. This topic is important because many students face stress every day and it affects how they learn and remember information. This is our introduction. Students deal with stress almost every day. When the stress becomes too much, it gets harder to focus, understand lesson, and remember what we study. That's why we choose this topic to explain how stress affects learning and memory. What is stress? Stress has two sides, psychological and physiological. Psychological stress is our emotional reaction like feeling worried or scared. Physiological stress is what happens in our body, like our heart beats fast, cortisol increases, and the body becomes tense. There are two types of stress. First is eustress, which is positive stress that motivates us. For example, feeling a bit stressed before a presentation but still feeling encouraged to do our best. And distress, which is negative stress, this is when we feel overwhelmed, like staying up all night worrying about an exam and losing focus the next day.
First of all,
Thank you
I will
to the
explain
speaker.
about stress.
Now I will continue with
This
the
part
next part
show
of
what
our
happens
presentation.
inside our brain.
My part
when we
will
focus
focus
on stress.
There are
and
three
the
main
brain.
parts of
And
the
the brain
theories
involved
related to stress: the
and
amygdala,
the
I will
hippocampus,
explain in
and
simple
the
words, prefrontal
so
cortex.
it is easy to understand
First,
about
we
my
have the
topic.
amygdala.
This
Thank you
part
to the
controls
speaker.
our
Now
emotion.
I will
When we
continue
feel
with the
stressed,
next part
the
of
amygdala
our
becomes
presentation.
more active.
My
This
part
is why
will
students
focus
feel worried,
on stress,
scary,
and
or panic
and
easily.
theories related
Next
to
is the
stress and
hippocampus.
learning. I
This
will
part
explain
helps
in
us
simple words
to remember
so
information.
it is
easy to
If
understand
we have
about my
long-term
topic.
stress,
The body
thank
makes
you
too
to
much
the
cortisol.
Now I
Cortisol
will
can
continue with the
weaken the
next part of
hippocampus,
our
and
presentation.
it makes it
My
harder
part will
for
focus
students to
on
remember
stress
what they
and the
are
brain.
studying.
And theories
The last
related
part
to stress
is the
and learning.
prefrontal
I will
cortex.
explain in
This
simple
part
words
helps
so
us.
it is
easy to understand about
focus.
my topic, and also
Thank
make
you
the
to the
addition.
speaker.
Stress
Now
makes
I
this
will
part
continue
less
with the
active,
next
so
part
student
of our
cannot focus
presentation.
well.
My part will
In short,
focus on
stress
stress
can
and
affect
the
the brain and
and
make learning
theories
harder.
related to stress
When we
and
are
learning.
stressed, we
I
cannot
will explain
focus
in
well.
simple
We
words
forget
so
easily,
it is
and
easy
our
to
thinking
understand about
becomes
my
slow.
topic.
So it is
Thank
important
you to
for
the
students
speaker.
to manage
Now
stress.
I will
To
continue
learn
with
better.
next. I will explain about theories related to stress and learning. These theories help us understand how stress can change the way students learn. Theory 1: Cognitive Appraisal Theory by Lazarus. This theory says our reaction to stress depends on how we think. If a student sees stress as a challenge, they can stay calm. If they see it as a threat, they feel scary and cannot focus. Theory 2: Yerkes-Dodson Law. This law shows that a small amount of stress is helpful. It can help students focus and do better, but too much stress will make learning difficult and cause students to forget what they are studying. Last but not least is information processing theory. This theory says stress makes working memory weaker. When students are stressed, they cannot process information well. This makes them slowly to learn and quiet to forget. In conclusion, this theory shows that stress can support learning when it is small, but too much stress will make students forget, lose focus, and learn slowly. So, how students think about stress is very important. This is all from me. Thank you.
In my section, I will explain about my research findings on the psychology of teaching and learning based on our big theme. The first thing I want to present is about the stress interferes with cognitive processes essential for learning. How it happens. Stress activates the HPA axis and releases cortisol, disrupting attention, working memory, and information processing. As a result, students struggle to encode new information and consolidate memories during lessons or revision. The second one is stress alters memory encoding and retrieval. How it will happen? High or prolonged stress impairs hippocampus-dependent memory, making it difficult for the brain to store and retrieve learned information. Consequently, this causes students to blank out during exams or oral questioning even when they understand the content. I have analysis of its impact on education. The first one is it reduces academic performance and engagement. This happens when stress that weakens core cognitive functions such as attention, comprehension, and memory, slowing students' ability to grasp lesson content. Over time, this leads to lower grades, reduced class participation, and declining motivation to learn. The second impact is about shift towards surface learning instead of deep understanding. How it happens? Chronic stress forces students to rely on rote memorization because their brains are too overloaded to process concepts deeply. This results in shallow learning, weak critical thinking skills, and poor long-term retention of academic knowledge. In this section, I will explain the 6 psychological effects of stress. The first effect is stress will impair attention and concentration. How it happens? Stress activates the brain's survival system, pulling attention away from learning tasks. As a result, students become easily distracted and struggle to follow lessons. The second impact is it decline in working memory capacity. It happens when stress hormones like cortisol interfere with the prefrontal cortex, disrupting short-term thinking processes. This causes students to forget instructions quickly and struggle with tasks that require mental effort. The third effect is difficulty forming long-term memories. Stress weakens the hippocampus, reducing its ability to encode and store new information. As a result, students may study but still fail to retain material for exams or long-term learning. The fourth one effect is it increases emotional instability. How it happens? Stress heightens activity in the amygdala, making emotional responses stronger and harder to regulate. This leads students to feel overwhelmed, irritable, or emotionally sensitive in academic situations. The fifth one is it will cause the development of anxiety and fear responses. How it happens? The brain repeatedly connects school tasks with stress, creating learn fear patterns. As a result, students may begin avoiding tests, presentations, or difficult subjects due to their anxiety. Last but not least, stress will lower self-esteem and academic confidence. How it happens? Prolonged stress causes students to interpret challenges as personal failure, forming negative self-beliefs. Over time, they lose confidence, become less motivated, and withdraw from learning opportunities. That's all of my points. Thank you.
Thank you for the previous speaker. Now I'll be explaining how stress can affect behavioral and physical. Stress affects students both behaviorally and physically, which can interfere with their learning and daily functioning. Behaviorally, students experiencing stress may become easily frustrated or upset, showing frequent mood swings. They can also lose their interest in their tasks, participate less in learning activities, and feel unmotivated to study. Some may respond to stress by avoiding schoolwork, skipping classes, or procrastinating on assignments. Stress can also make it difficult for students to sit still, concentrate, or focus for extended periods, and some may isolate themselves from friends or group activities, reducing social interaction, as studied by Manrik Bitelka et al. 2028, Alhamet 2023, Nature of Academic Stress 2023. Physically, stress can lead to persistent headaches and fatigue, caused by mental tension and overthinking. Students may experience sleep problems, including insomnia or oversleeping, and stress can affect the digestive system, causing nausea, loss of appetite, or other stomach discomfort. Chronic stress may also create muscle tension, particularly in the shoulders, neck, and back, and can weaken the immune system, making students more prone to illnesses such as cold, as studied by Alhamlan et al. 2025, Alhamet 2023, Nature of Academic Stress 2023. Overall, these behavioral and physical effects demonstrate how stress can seriously disrupt a student's ability to learn and thrive academically. Next, I'll be explaining how stress can affect our memory and relationship. Stress can affect our memory in both good and bad ways. Let's start with the positive effects first. First, mild stress can actually boost our alertness and focus. For example, a little pressure before a class quiz can make us pay more attention to the lesson. Second, short-term stress can improve memory for simple tasks. This means it can help us remember things we need immediately, like instruction or small facts. But not all stress is helpful. Chronic or high stress can weaken memory storage because it affects the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that keeps information. And finally, stress before exams can cause blanking out, making it difficult for us to recall what we studied, even if we know the material very, very well. So, in short, a little stress can motivate and help us, but too much or long term exposure of stress can harm how we learn and remember information.
Let me introduce a simple case. This is Aisha, Form 3 student. Before exam, she became very stressed because of school pressure, home responsibilities, and not enough sleep. Because of this stress, her focus became weak. She forgot what she studies, and her mark dropped from around 80 to 90% to 50 to 60%. When we are stressed, our brain releases a chemical called cortisol. Too much of it makes it harder for us to remember things. It affects the part of our brain that stores memory. So, for Aisha and many students, stress leads to poor concentration, weak recall, and feeling tired or unmotivated in class. As a teachers or friends, we can help by teaching simple breathing technique, giving students short breaks, guiding them step by step, and encouraging healthy study habits. School can also work with clinics, universities, or NGOs to provide talks and workshops about managing stress. So the main point is stress affects the brain, but with support and healthy habits, students can improve their learning and memory. Next, I would like to talk about practical recommendations for teachers. Firstly, teach simple stress management techniques. For the first point, we can help students calm themselves with quick breathing exercise or short stretching breaks. Even 1 minute helps them refocus. Some students also like writing down their worries to clear their minds. So, secondly, break learning tasks into smaller steps. Next, breaking tasks into smaller pieces makes learning less overwhelming. Simple instructions, checklists, and giving a bit more time can reduce pressure for stressed students. Thirdly, we can build a strong teachers-students relationship. Next, checking in with students who look tired or stressed shows that we care. Listening without judgment and encouraging them to seek help can make a big difference. So, lastly, support access to counseling. When needed, teachers should involve school counselors yearly. Working with parents and community partners can give students extra support beyond the classroom.
So I would like to talk about practical recommendation of student. First, active learning means that student participate directly the learning process instead of only listening or taking notes. It help improve understanding, long-term memory, and critical thinking skills. And second, set clear learning goal. Help students understand what they want to achieve, what they need to learn, and how to track their progress. When goals are specific, students become more focused, motivated, and organized in their studies. Manage time effectively means planning how to use your time wisely and efficiently so that all your tasks, for example like study, assignment, and revision, can be complete without stress. Good time management helps students stay organized and avoid last-minute cramming. And the last one is seek social support means reaching out to people who can encourage, guide, and help you when you face academic challenge or stress. Having a strong support system can boost motivation, confidence, and emotional well-being. Okay, next I will talk about role of school and parents. First, I will talk about role of school. Okay, first, identify individual need. For example, having discussion with students to understand their interest, difficulty, or concern. The second one is provide counseling support to helping students to solve their personal or social problem. The second one is role of parents. First, supportive learning environment. For example, help students to stay organized with schedule or planner. And the last one is communicate with teacher. Inform their teacher about any issues at home that may affect the child's learning or behavior.